Myra woke to the faint hum of the colony's life support systems. The soft, mechanical rhythm was supposed to be comforting, a reminder that the fragile bubble of their settlement on Rill 7 still held together. But this morning, her heart sank even before she opened her eyes. Tavin's soft cries had begun again, high-pitched and desperate, and when she lifted her child, she felt the same chilling realization she had dreaded all night. Her milk was gone. Her hands shook as she held the tiny form against her chest. Tavin's face was pale, almost translucent in the weak light filtering through the polyglass windows of their small habitation module. Every movement seemed to sap him further of strength. Myra's chest tightened. She had known the colony's conditions were harsh, but nothing could have prepared her for this. She had thought the small amount of milk she had left would last a week, that she would find a way to supplement it before Tavin grew weak. Now it was gone, completely gone. The weight of helplessness pressed on her like the planet's gravity, heavier than any she had ever known. The colony had strict rationing. Formula for infants was only prepared under special circumstances, using concentrated nutrients synthesized from local algae and scarce additives imported from Earth. But the last shipment had been depleted weeks ago. No one had the resources to create it now. The thought of watching her baby starve filled her with an agony that refused to be quieted. Mara's hands trembled as she wrapped Tavin in the thin thermal blanket she had tucked beside the cot. His small body seemed so fragile, so unbearably delicate, and she felt the raw, unfiltered edge of fear. The kind of fear that made your chest tighten, your head pound, and your stomach knot. She had to find a solution. She had to do something. But what? Outside the habitation module, the colony was stirring. The harsh light of Rill 7 twin suns slanted across the rocky surface, casting long, jagged shadows. The settlement itself was a patchwork of domes, storage modules, and greenhouses. Life here was always precarious. Each day required careful calculation, careful planning, and constant vigilance. One wrong move could mean disaster. But this was different. This wasn't about supplies or power or machinery. This was about her child, and nothing in the universe made her feel more powerless. Joran was already at work when Myra stumbled out of the module. The engineer moved with his usual calm precision, adjusting the energy output of the colony's solar panels. He had the kind of presence that made chaos feel manageable, the kind of steadiness that made people trust him even when hope was scarce. Myra approached him, her voice barely a whisper. "Joran, Tavin, he's weak. My milk, it's gone. I don't know what to do. Let me see him." The boy's eyes fluttered open for a moment, and Joran felt a pang he had never known before, the raw human instinct to protect life at all costs. "We can't let him starve," Myra said, her voice breaking. "There's no formula, no nothing." Her hands clenched the blanket around Tavin. "I don't know how to save him." "We might be able to make something," he said, though even he was unsure. "There's a method Earth scientists experimented with before the colony was built, bioengineered microbes. They can produce milk-like nutrients. It's risky, untested here, but—" His voice trailed off as he searched for a way to convey the faintest glimmer of hope. "We might have a chance. We find solutions where others see none. That's what we do." His voice was steady, almost commanding, but there was a spark of something deeper, belief, faith in human will and ingenuity. The next hours passed in a blur of preparation. Joran pulled together every bit of equipment he could find, salvaging containers, heating coils, and microbial cultures from the colony's experimental labs. Mara watched him work, a mixture of awe and terror coursing through her. Every movement he made seemed deliberate, precise, but the tension in the room was unbearable. Time was running out. Every minute that passed without food sapped Tavin's strength further, and the weight of that reality pressed on Myra's chest like a physical force. As Joran worked, he explained each step in careful, simple language. He was calm, almost clinical, but Mara could see the undercurrent of urgency in his eyes. "We'll need to incubate the culture at a precise temperature," he said. "It must be pure. Contamination could kill him faster than starvation. We'll add nutrients in stages, monitor the reaction, then we feed." "One drop at a time." He paused, looking at Myra. "Do you trust me?" Joran moved with a methodical grace, Myra assisting where she could, her hands trembling but steady when it mattered. They measured, heated, mixed, and monitored, the minutes stretching into what felt like hours. Outside, the harsh light of Rill 7 faded as the suns dipped lower, casting the colony in a dim, eerie glow. Every so often, Myra checked on Tavin. His small cries were weaker now, almost a whisper but still insistent. Each breath seemed a struggle, each flutter of his eyelids a reminder that time was slipping away. Myra pressed her cheek to his tiny head, whispering promises she wasn't sure she could keep. "Hold on, my little one. Someone is going to save you, I promise." "It's ready," he said, his voice steady despite the exhaustion lining his features. "We have to be careful, one drop. We watch for reactions. If he tolerates it, we continue. We can do this." The baby's small mouth opened instinctively, and she let a single drop slip in. She watched, barely breathing as he swallowed. For a tense moment, nothing happened. Then Tavin's tiny body twitched, a faint shiver running through him. His breathing seemed slightly stronger. Mara's hands trembled as relief and fear collided. She whispered, "You can do this, Tavin. You can do this." One drop became two, then three, as Joran monitored the mixture carefully, adjusting temperatures and concentrations. The baby's eyes fluttered open, brighter than before, and a faint color returned to his cheeks. The breakthrough was fragile but real. Mara's chest heaved with a mix of tears and laughter. He's taking it," she said, voice barely above a whisper. Joran nodded, though his eyes were fixed on the monitors. "Don't celebrate yet," he cautioned. "We're not done. One misstep, contamination, or overdose, and it could be all over. But this is a start." The baby's cries softened, his breathing steadied, and for the first time that day, Mara allowed herself to believe. Just a little, just enough to hold on to hope. Finally, as the sun set completely, casting the module in the dim glow of emergency lights, Mara sat back, exhausted, holding Tavin against her chest. Joran cleaned the last of the equipment, his hands steady despite fatigue. "He's going to make it," he said quietly, almost to himself, but Myra heard. And in that moment, hope felt real. Myra kissed the top of Tavin's head, whispering promises she would keep. "We're not done," she said softly, "but we're not giving up, not now, not ever." Outside, the colony continued its quiet hum, unaware of the small miracle unfolding in one of its modules. Inside, a mother and an engineer watched over the tiniest spark of life, proof that even in the harshest corners of the universe, humans could endure, adapt, and fight against impossible odds. As the first night fell on Rill 7, Myra allowed herself a moment to breathe. She looked at Joran and saw not just an engineer, but a testament to human ingenuity and perseverance. They had no guarantee of success, but the effort itself was a victory, a declaration that humans would not surrender, not to the stars, not to circumstance, and certainly not to death. And somewhere deep within, Mara knew that the fight was far from over. But for the first time since the morning, she allowed herself to hope that Tavin would survive. That hope, fragile as it was, glowed brighter than any twin sun in the sky. The night on Rill 7 stretched long and quiet, yet inside Mara's module, every second pulsed with tension. Tavin lay in her arms, his tiny body trembling slightly, but the faint glow of life in his eyes gave her a fragile hope she clung to. Joran moved beside her, adjusting monitors and checking the synthetic milk mixture with the same precision he had shown all day. Every movement, every calculation mattered. One wrong step and they could lose him. Mara whispered to Tavin, smoothing the tiny hand against his cheek. "Stay with me, little one. We're not done yet. We'll get through this." Her voice was soft, almost trembling, but there was a steel beneath it, a determination fueled by love that refused to be broken by fear. Joran's eyes never left the monitors. "The mixture is stable, but we need to be careful. His system is weak. We can't rush this," he said. "I know you're tired, Mara, but you need to focus. One mistake now, and everything could fail." Every sound had sent her heart into panic. Every flinch had been a dagger to her chest. And yet she refused to give up. The hours passed in a blur of careful feeding and meticulous monitoring. Joran worked silently but efficiently, adjusting temperatures, stirring the culture, making small but crucial modifications. He explained his actions as he went, knowing Mara needed to understand, needed to feel a measure of control in a situation that felt otherwise hopeless. "We're introducing more proteins now," he said. "His system might react differently, but it's necessary. He needs the energy to fight, to grow." Each drop seemed to weigh 1,000 pounds. She fed Tavin slowly, watching every tiny response. His eyes fluttered, then opened wider. His breaths became slightly stronger. A small movement in his fingers, almost imperceptible, made her chest swell with hope. "He's fighting," she whispered. "He's really fighting." "Humans always do," he said softly. "Even when everything seems impossible, we find a way. That's why we survive." Myra felt the shift of time as a reminder that the world outside moved on, indifferent to their struggle. But inside, life clung stubbornly, fueled by determination, ingenuity, and love. By mid-morning, Tavin's strength had improved slightly, but not enough for comfort. He still cried, though his voice was weaker and less frantic. Mara's arms ached from holding him, but she refused to lay him down. Each second mattered, and she could not risk leaving him alone. Joran moved closer, holding up the latest set of readings from the monitors. "His vitals are stable for now," he said. "But we need to reinforce the nutrition. The colony's regular supplies won't be enough. We need to supplement with more of the bioengineered milk. I can adjust the formula, add more fats and carbohydrates, but it will take time. His system is fragile, but humans adapt. They endure, they overcome. That's what we're going to prove here." Mara assisted wherever she could, fetching tools, cleaning containers, and measuring small amounts of nutrients under Joran's watchful eye. Every step required precision. Every mistake could be fatal. And yet, despite the fear and exhaustion, there was a rhythm to their work, a sense of shared purpose that bolstered them both. Hours turned into the afternoon. The module was warm, the air thick with the scent of sterilizing chemicals and the faint metallic tang of machinery. Mara fed Tavin slowly, drop by drop, watching the subtle changes in his breathing and movements. Each time he swallowed without choking, her heart leapt. Each tiny gain was a victory, and she celebrated silently, whispering to him with a mix of relief and awe. Joran checked the readings again, frowning slightly. "We need to consider the long-term effects," he said. "The microbes are engineered to mimic human milk, but it's not perfect. There may be side effects. Digestive issues, allergic reactions. We need to monitor him constantly for the next several days. He can't go back to an empty system. We have to plan for sustainable feeding until we can get proper supplies." Engineers tended to machinery, agricultural teams checked the greenhouses, and others maintained the habitat modules. Life continued as it always did, indifferent to the tiny human struggle in Mara's module. But inside, a small miracle was unfolding. The baby's cries were less frequent. His tiny body moved with more energy. His skin color, once almost translucent, now held a faint glow, a promise that life could endure even in the harshest conditions. Joran finally stepped back, wiping sweat from his brow. "We've stabilized him," he said. "But it's temporary. The colony needs a plan for long-term survival for him and for others who might face this. This isn't just about one baby. It's about human resilience, about proving that we can survive where others might fail. I need to know he'll see another day." Her voice trembled, but there was a quiet strength beneath it, a fierce determination that no exhaustion or fear could extinguish. Joran crouched beside her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "That's exactly why we succeed," he said. "Because humans don't give up, not when it matters most. We improvise, we adapt, we fight. And sometimes we win." She watched him with a mixture of awe and exhaustion, marveling at the fragile spark of life that had survived against all odds. Joran cleaned the last of the equipment, his movements careful and deliberate. "Tomorrow, we'll reinforce the colony's food supply," he said. "We'll find a way to make this sustainable. One life saved today is proof that humans can face the impossible and come out alive." And as she drifted into a light sleep, she knew that the fight was far from over, but the most important battle, the one for Tavin's life, had been won, at least for now. In the quiet hours before dawn, Myra dreamed of a world where humans could endure anything, a world where ingenuity and determination could overcome even the most impossible odds. She dreamed of a colony thriving against adversity, of families surviving where the universe seemed determined to test them, and of her child growing strong, a living testament to human resilience. And somewhere deep within her, she knew that as long as humans refused to give up, there was no challenge too great, no obstacle too insurmountable. Tavin stirred slightly in her arms, his tiny hand brushing against her cheek. Mara smiled, a small, weary smile, and whispered, "We'll face everything together, little one. You're safe now. And we'll make sure you stay that way." Outside, the winds of Ril 7 howled against the habitation module, harsh and unrelenting, but inside, warmth and life held firm, a proof that human courage, love, and ingenuity could shine even in the darkest corners of the universe. The colony's dim lights flickered as the night deepened on Ril 7. Myra sat in her module, holding Tavin close. His tiny body had grown stronger over the past day, though still fragile, still in need of constant care. Every breath he took, every small movement was a victory, a testament to human determination and ingenuity. Mara could feel the warmth of life in her arms, and she refused to let fear touch it again. Not now, not ever. Joran leaned against the console, exhaustion etched into his features. He had been awake almost as long as Mara, monitoring the baby, adjusting the nutrient mixture, and planning how to stabilize their small miracle for the long term. He had faced countless crises in the colony, but nothing compared to the weight of ensuring a single life survived. The entire settlement might function as a system, but this tiny, vulnerable human held the power to show them all what humans were capable of: adaptation, endurance, and the will to fight against impossible odds. Mara looked down at Tavin's face. His eyes opened slightly, revealing a flicker of the life they had fought so hard to protect. She brushed a stray strand of hair from his forehead. "You're going to be okay," she whispered, though she wasn't entirely sure if even words could make it so. Still, speaking them made her feel closer to the impossible hope she clung to. "We'll make sure you survive no matter what." Too fast and his system could collapse. We have to build him up gradually, but he's strong enough to handle it. The mixture Joran had engineered, a careful balance of nutrients, fats, and proteins, was slowly restoring the strength Tavin had lost. Each swallow made her heart beat faster, a rhythm tied to the fragile rhythm of her child's life. The hours passed slowly, the two adults locked in their rhythm of care and monitoring. Outside, the colony continued its mechanical hum, oblivious to the tiny drama unfolding in this one module. The twin suns of Ril 7 had long since disappeared behind the dust-laden horizon, leaving the settlement in quiet darkness. Myra occasionally glanced at the viewport, noting the stark, rocky landscape bathed in the faint reflection of starlight. The world outside was harsh, unyielding, and yet inside, human ingenuity had carved a space for life to flourish. Joran moved closer. "We need to think beyond tonight," he said. "Tavin will survive this crisis, but the colony has to adapt for situations like this. Resources are limited. There's no guarantee that the next child, the next person in need, will have the same luck. We have to create a sustainable system for feeding infants. We have to prove that human solutions can overcome scarcity. Not if we can prevent it." Her voice was firm, a quiet promise echoing through the small space. "Humans can survive anything, Joran. We just have to try." Tavin's energy grew with each feed, his small body beginning to respond to the nutrition that his mother's milk had once provided. Myra's relief was palpable, though she remained cautious. One moment of triumph could not erase the terror of the previous day. She knew this was only the beginning, a fragile foothold in a world that could be as cruel as it was beautiful. By mid-morning, Tavin began to stir more actively. His small limbs twitched, a sign that his energy levels were returning. Mara's heart leapt with each movement. She adjusted him carefully, whispering encouragements that were more for her own hope than his comprehension. "Yes, that's it," she murmured. "Keep going, you're strong. You're going to make it." The colony might have survived harsh environments for decades, but individual human life required something beyond technology. It required care, creativity, and unyielding attention. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but that unpredictability was matched only by their ingenuity. That was what had kept them alive on Ril 7, and that was what would keep Tavin alive now. As the day progressed, the two worked in near silence, punctuated only by Tavin's soft cries or the quiet clicks and hums of the monitoring equipment. Myra's exhaustion was total, but she refused to let it slow her. Each feed, each careful adjustment, each tiny sign of recovery was a victory. And as Tavin's cries softened, becoming less urgent and more like small demands for attention, Myra felt hope growing stronger within her chest. Finally, as the twin suns' light began to touch the horizon once more, Myra allowed herself to breathe a little deeper. Tavin was thriving, still fragile, still dependent on every careful action, but alive. The victory was not complete. There were days of care ahead, weeks of cautious feeding, but it was a victory nonetheless. Joran moved to the small console, entering logs and calculations, planning the next stage of Tavin's care. "We've stabilized him," he said. "Now we build a schedule, we increase feeding slowly, monitor responses, document everything. If the colony adopts this method, other infants could survive too. This isn't just about one life, it's about proving humans can solve the impossible. I only care that he lives, that he survives, that's enough for me." That was why she had refused to let go, and that was why Tavin had lived. The afternoon passed, and Tavin's strength grew steadily. Mara fed him carefully, measuring every drop, monitoring his reactions, adjusting slowly as Joran directed. The process was exhausting, but it was a labor of love, a testament to the endurance of human will. Each day he grew stronger, his cries more insistent, his movements more coordinated. Each day Mara allowed herself a little more hope. By evening, Tavin was laughing softly, a sound that made Mara's heart soar. She held him close, tears of relief and joy slipping down her cheeks. Joran watched quietly, a smile touching his lips. "See," he said, "humans adapt, humans endure. We fight when we must, and sometimes, just sometimes, we win." Outside, the winds of Rill 7 howled against the habitat module, relentless and harsh. But inside, warmth, life, and hope held strong. They had faced despair and danger, scarcity and fear, and emerged victorious. Over the next days, Mara and Joran worked tirelessly to refine the feeding process, ensuring that Tavin's recovery continued steadily. The Colony Council became aware of their efforts and, initially skeptical, soon recognized the ingenuity and courage that had saved a life. The method Joran had improvised became a model for emergency infant nutrition, a testament to human adaptability and perseverance. Mara watched her baby grow, each day stronger, each movement more confident. She realized that what they had achieved was more than survival. It was proof that humans, even in the most isolated and unforgiving corners of the universe, could endure, innovate, and care for one another with unwavering resolve. Life on Rill 7 was harsh, and challenges would continue, but humans had shown, yet again, that they could meet them head-on. As Mara held Tavin, watching him smile up at her, she felt an unshakable certainty in her heart. Humans were remarkable not because of technology or machines or luck, but because of their courage, their love, and their relentless determination to survive and protect life. That was what had saved her child. That was what would keep them alive on this distant, harsh world. That was the essence of humanity shining bright against the darkness. And somewhere deep inside, Mara knew that this victory was only the beginning. Life on Rill 7 would continue to test them. Scarcity, danger, and isolation would never fully disappear. But with ingenuity, care, and an unyielding will, humans would endure. Humans would survive. Humans would thrive. And Mara, cradling Tavin, understood fully that even in the universe's coldest, harshest corners, human courage and determination could turn despair into hope, weakness into strength, and life itself into a triumph.